And it's 8 p.m. and you're welcome to tonight's edition of Fact Sheet live on ETV, live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, live on Nisim 95.9 in Tamale and Bogatanga on Nisim 100.1. Tonight, if we're here to talk about a matter that has gotten the nation talking immediately after we came from the Christmas break. This is a matter which we had hints about in 2021 and in 2022. It has to do with the withdrawal or the reversal of the benchmark values per the statement that the Ghana Revenue Authority issued some few days ago. If listeners would cast their minds back, it was in April of 2019 that the finance minister, after the vice president had spoken about the benchmark values and how they wanted to firstly make our ports competitive to ensure that we're able to generate a lot more revenue, decided that they were going to introduce the benchmark value. And so in April of 2019, the benchmark value was introduced. There was also the intent of curing smuggling in the country, and that was one of the main reasons why the benchmark value was introduced. Over the years, the system has been running. For those who are dealers in cars, have been enjoying 30%, of the value of the vehicles they bring into the country. Those who deal in general goods as well have been enjoying their 50% until COVID-19 struck. And then we got wind that the government wanted to withdraw or reverse this benchmark value, which was supposed to be helping businessmen who import these products into the country. I remember in 2020, there was a statement which hit the public space, for which a denial came from the Ghana Revenue Authority to the effect that it was not being reversed. Only for us to start the year 2020, for us to see the statement that is coming from the Ghana Revenue Authority to the effect that the benchmark values, 30% for vehicles and 50% for certain general goods, have been withdrawn. Tonight, that's the focus of our conversation. We are told that GUTA has hinted that if this law or this reversal stays in place, we are going to be having a doubling of the prices of general goods on the market. The vehicles we purchase, we bring into the country, what would happen to their prices as well, considering that this 30% that importers were, enjoying would obviously make these prices go up. Now there's the argument about, helping local industries to grow and how this benchmark value has been disrupting, the local industries in growing. And these are arguments that have been put forth by groups like the AGI to the effect that when government withdraws these, it's going to empower the local industries to also grow, since that competition would not be there. Tonight, we'll try to understand the arguments from both sides and see the way forward. I've already hinted that GUTA has said that the government must hold on with the implementation of the reversal of the benchmark values. Today is the day that this reversal is supposed to kick in. For those who import, for the industry players would want to find out the law or the reversal. Did it come into force today, as the statement said? When we return from our short commercial break, I will introduce you to my guest, and then I'll read a statement that came from the Ghana Revenue Authority, and it will set the tone for us to begin our conversation tonight on Fact Sheet. My name is Samuel Ishen, and the show is live on Facebook. You can follow us by looking for ETV Ghana and then sharing the link on groups and platforms that you do belong to. Be grateful if you do that. We'll take a short breather. When we come back, the conversation is focusing on the reversal or withdrawal of the benchmark values of 30% for vehicles and 50% for general goods. We'll be right back. To Fact Sheets live on ETV, live on Nisim 95.9 in Tamale and 100.1 in Bogatanga. We'll set the ball rolling with a statement that came from the Ghana Revenue Authority on the 30th of December 2021, and this is what it says. Guidelines for the implementation of government policy directives on removal of reduction of values of imports on selected items. References: A. Commissioner General's Order number 2019-002 dated 29th April 2019. B. Commissioner Customs Memorandum to all ports and stations in the Customs Division dated 7th May 2019. C. Commissioner General's memo dated December 30th, 2021. Reference A provided the guidelines for the implementation of government's policy directive on reduction of values of imports as a relief to importers with effect from 4th of April 2019. The guidelines were aimed at clarifying the directives for effective implementation and sensitization of the general public and in particular stakeholders such as importers or duty payers and or their agents or freight forwarders. It goes on to say the policy guidelines were categorized as follows: home delivery value of vehicles, goods on which benchmark values are applied, goods covered by cargo tracking notes, and all other goods. The reliefs to importers and payers were as follows: home delivery value of vehicles. For duty purposes, the HDV of a vehicle was discounted by 30%. Then it goes on to categorize that of goods on which the benchmark value of 50% was applicable. But where it is very relevant is the point 6, where it says that for the avoidance of doubt, the following guidelines are for strict compliance with effect from 4th of January 2022. And it says that for home delivery value of vehicles, for duty purposes, the HDV of a vehicle will no longer be discounted by 30%. Thus, the full HDV should be used for the computation. B. Goods on which the benchmark values are applied. The benchmark value shall be applied in full without any reduction of value by 50%. Any statement that came from the Ghana Revenue Authority. Tonight, my guests to help me with the discussion are Mr. Benjamin Yeboah, who is the National Welfare Officer for GUTA. Will be joined later on by Mr. Samson Asaki Awingobit, who is the Executive Secretary, Importers and Exporters Association. Once again, you're welcome to Fact Sheet, and Mr. Benjamin Yeboah is here with me. Mr. Yeboah, good evening and welcome to the studio.
Good evening, my brother.
I hope you're doing well.
By God's grace.
So, per the statement from the Ghana Revenue Authority, the reversal of the 30% and 50% benchmark values starts today. Did it start?
Well, thank you very much for having me this evening. And good evening to your cherished viewers. As I sit, I don't really know if it was able to start because the information I'm gathering is that, the system wasn't really working. That means if it started on paper, in reality, it couldn't start in operation. So that means it hasn't taken off yet.
All right. Now, let's give our viewers and our listeners some understanding of what this benchmark value is all about. What's the benchmark value?
Thank you so much. You see, these benchmark values came about because of the misunderstanding importers were having with customs. Formerly, we had the destination inspectors, the DICs were there, and when customs took over fully, they also used that system of trying to assess the value of the items you are importing in. Now, this became an issue. So now, customs was using some turnout values in their system that they were using as benchmark to value the items you've bought. So if in their system, this water costs about $50, they use the $50 as the benchmark value to assess the item you bought and then work the duty components on it. And then add the charges and levies. That was what was going on. And it was really uncomfortable because it was quite unbearable in the sense that cumulatively we had duties, charges and levies, especially after 2013 when the ECOWAS Common External Tariffs came into force, when the ECOWAS members wanted to harmonize the duty tariffs in the ECOWAS region. Unfortunately for us, our economy wasn't doing that well. Our currency was struggling. And therefore, we were at the losing end with duties going up to between 20% for some items and some to about 35%. Then cumulatively with the other charges, 50% of the import value of the items you are bringing. So if a container is costing about $100,000, you have to go and look for $50,000 to clear the container, which was ridiculously high. We made so much noise, and when government realized the noise we were making, they said fine. Because of this CET, they couldn't do much about the duty component, but then they can help us with the value, the benchmark value that GRA was using, customs. And therefore, they decided to have the benchmark values by 50% for general goods and 30% for vehicles, so that now the hard value is what was used as the benchmark for the duties to be worked on. So that is all that it was.
Again, I want to understand the benchmark value system. So it meant that if you were bringing a car, and let's say you had bought it for, let's say, $5,000 or let's say $10,000, the GRA had in its system, let's say you bring a Toyota Corolla, a value of, let's say, okay, for them in their systems, a Toyota Corolla 2017 model, their value is, let's say, 15,000. And so regardless of you buying it 12,000, when it reaches here, in their systems, because the value is 15,000.
They benchmarked it for $15,000, and therefore they'll use the $15,000 as the value of the car to calculate your duties.
Your duty for you.
That is what it was.
So in giving the 30% for the vehicles and then the 50% for the general goods,
yeah.
Relief came to importers, and these vehicle importers and all of those people. You had relief from the introduction of the system.
Yeah, we hailed it because half a loaf at that time was really better than zero. We hailed it because then it was some sort of mitigating factor that was going to alleviate our plight a bit. But unfortunately, COVID took over just about 6-7 months down the lane. And so everything changed, unfortunately for us. It ravaged everyone. And then, we imagine 2020, majority of that year, we were really not doing any business. And then when things started picking up, then those factories out there started increasing their prices. So these world commodity prices increased between 50 to 100%. For the items we go to buy and bring in. And then the shipping lines took advantage of the situation. Right from late 2020 to 2021, they increased freight charges up to about 300% and over. So you can imagine. So it was just this,
benchmark values.
Benchmark 50% reduction that held us a bit. So even though prices went up, they did not go up that high as it should have been. And that is what we were holding on till we started hearing that some people were lobbying for the benchmark values to be reversed to the 100%.
But why would anybody want to lobby for the removal of these values that gave relief to importers when I know our economy is import driven? Why would somebody lobby for the removal of these values?
Yeah, we got to know from what we're hearing, and later from our friends, AGI, that they were part of those lobbying, in the sense that they felt that if the values were, raised back to the 100%, it will help with their local production and sales of the items being produced here. And that was generally what they were lobbying for, which we saw it as really a weak, very weak, argument, in the sense that you don't expect my prices to go higher before your prices find some equilibrium for you to sell. In our local balance, it says that unkum jedini ndidra. You don't expect mine to go so high before yours takes some equilibrium. And that is what we're trying to tell government. That look, the pandemic was still killing us. Things have gone so bad. And therefore, deciding to reverse this thing at that time was really that bad. And they should reconsider and know that, like we said, it's an import-driven economy. We are now trying to build some factories here in the river, some factories here and there. But then we should know the capacity of those factories, how much they are producing. And in any case, has those factors that really caused us to ask for this sort of reduction in the values. Have they been cleared? They are still there, and even at a higher, magnitude.
Okay.
And therefore, we realize that if there's anything that was going on, rather let's sit down and let's look at the situation very well. We had this ding dong battle till just before the budget. We got to know that they are reversing it on about 43 items. So now it wasn't reversed on all, but on 43 items. But even the 43 items, we just got the list just when they were reading the budget. So we've not even sat down to have any stakeholders meeting to look at the items and see the local capacity of these items. Because majority of them are things that are used daily, food, beverages, drinkables, non-alcoholic ones, rice, and all that. They are all in there. Look, we all want Ghana to grow. We want to grow our industries. If our industries are growing and doing that well, who would, change money into this hard currency, pick a plane, travel outside, pay expensive hotel bills, pack goods into these containers and ship them, come to these ports, and look at the hassle. If there's a factory at Dodowa and it's producing these very same items, wouldn't it be more easier and convenient to just pick a vehicle and go and buy from them?
Now, what beats my imagination, as much as I'm supposed to take center stage in the conversation, is how when locally produced goods land on the market, their prices seems to be far higher than the imported ones. And when you ask the question as to why, their prices are higher, then the argument that comes is the cost of the raw materials that they use in the production of these things. So I ask the question, are there no incentives for these industries that are producing locally so as to alleviate the pressure that is on them to allow for the staying of these reductions, 30% and 50% for the other players?
There's another saying in this our local balance that see, like you said, there might be some factors that are mitigated against their proper production of their wares or goods. You understand? And one might be even cost of utilities. You see, it might be so high it's affecting them. Maybe they might need some subsidies. That is one. Cost of borrowing might be killing them. They have to look at it. And what other raw materials and what are other incentives that they should derive from central government. These are things we should look at. So you realize that argument on reversal of these benchmark values is really not what might be the problem for them.
But could it not also be the case that it's really not about the position of AGI and others who, for the thought of propelling growth of local industries, are arguing for that, but government itself realizing that, look, where we are, we need money. And so this 50% we are given, discount we are given, or this 30% discount we are given, is money that we are losing. And thus, if we withdraw it, that is money that is coming into the coffers of government.
Well, you see, then you come clear on that. And let us know the stand that, look, it's all about revenue. So let us sit there and look at it from that point of view. Then we can judge and see where we are going. In doing so, then we also have to take a look at our industry and see what is also happening and what best you can also do for us in terms of the growth of our businesses. Other than that, we wonder what it really is. Because for nothing at all, GRA keeps on, hitting their targets year in, year out. So if there's something else that it is, government should come clear and let us know. We are more than prepared to sit down and then look at the whole situation holistically and then look at what we should do. Other than that, this argument for now is a bit hollow, seriously. And we are really not buying it.
But what makes it hollow if we all know? You made the point about how COVID-19 has ravaged our economy.
Exactly. So.
It's not a hidden truth that His Excellency the President indicates this anytime he gets a chance to address Ghanaians. The Finance Minister has also indicated that in the previous budgets and this 2022 budget about the real state of our economy and how COVID-19 has impacted us. And therefore, one would expect that after enjoying this period of this 30% and 50%, if government indeed tells you that I need the reversal of this 50% and 30%, indeed they need the money.
You see, the enjoyment here is in quotes. Because look, like I told you earlier, when we thought we had something that we can hold on to, then COVID came. So when COVID came, it didn't just ravage just central government. It's a ravage in everyone. We also suffered. Look, 2020, majority of that year, we were doing nothing. There were times we were just sleeping at home. You understand? So it has affected everyone. So it's not just government needing money. It's all of us needing money. Because some of our people are going out of businesses. You understand? So if it's government needing money, we also need money. Then let us all sit down. Then let's look at the thing holistically and see how best we can help each other here. And not just government looking for money and then just going for it. And then we are left struggling. We've seen this before. Somewhere in 2012, 2013, government then came to tell us that they needed revenue and that they will put a 2% levy, special levy, on imports to make revenue, and that when the sun sets, they will take it off. The sun never set, so we are sitting down today. And therefore, we know government how they come and they tell us certain things like this. That is why, if it's so, let us all sit down and let us see how best we can all help each other here, and not just helping government, we suffer or die.
Well, some would say that we always say that government should create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. In that respect, certain variables like exchange rate, inflation, and others are the things we easily look at. Some would say, players like you, inflation has been okay, single-digit inflation until last year when we hit the doubles. The exchange rate, though it's been not performing as we would expect it, but it's been okay. One can also talk about other factors like the monetary policy rate, which has been going down consistently from 17.5, it hit about 13.5 last year. And so government has been creating that enabling environment for you to do good business. Is that not enough?
No, the point is that, yes, those things should really reflect on, in reality, how we feel it. Unfortunately, this COVID is not giving us that leverage. And therefore, look, imagining if you are going to pay over 300% freight. If the item that you import, the same item, but now it's gone up 50 to 100%. So you can imagine how the cost of the items are when it gets here. And when it gets here too, it's only the value of the item that, the customs is helping you with. But all the levies, charges, close to about 19 to 20 of them, they are all sitting there waiting for you to hit you. If your item attracts a 30% duty or a 20% duty, is there? Nothing has changed. They will hit you. And therefore, per any, savings that you think you've gotten has been eroded. And because you'll be hit with all these things. So it's a difficult terrain out there. People are just trying to, stay in there. You understand? Hold on and stay in there. Because we realize, and that is the only comforter, that is not only Ghana, but it's hitting even the bigger boys are struggling with inflation and all that. So that's the only comforter. And that is what we look at and comfort ourselves that, it's hitting everyone. But if it hits them out there, know that the rippling effects hits us too here. Because if we are not producing that much and then we have to import, they have increased their items out there. You are going to bring it in. The shipper is also bringing it in at such a ridiculous free charge. You don't have your own ship to bring it in. So we are struggling. And that the truth should be told. That we are all struggling. And we know that, yes, that unfortunately that is the system in terms of the world system. But then, if that is so, like I said earlier, let us all look at the situation and see how best we can move along. Because maybe I don't know, but if you tell me vehicles, are we talking about just brand new vehicles? Is it brand new vehicles, or is home use is inclusive? If home use is inclusive, how many people can afford brand new vehicles in our country?
Oh, but we had the VW and Co set up assembling plants here that they are manufacturing.
And their cost is cool,
well,
as compared to a home use vehicle.
Well, they will tell you they have arrangements with some of the banks where you can purchase some of these vehicles and you pay within a certain period of time. So there is that comfort.
Let us not kid ourselves, because definitely it can still not be said that their prices will be that relatively lower or in same vein as a used car from outside. Let us, you see, we shouldn't create more problems as we try to solve a problem. Otherwise, it will come back to haunt all of us. And we should be very careful we don't put the cart before the horse. And that is what we are trying to tell government. Now listen, yes, we've listened to some extent, but then if we look at the items that we've been
walk us through the items, if you can.
What we receive: poultry, rice, sugar, pasta, that's spaghetti, noodles, palm oil, crude oil, refined aluminium, finished products, roofing sheets, toilet paper, facial tissue, chocolate, Portland cement, mosquito coil, vehicles, ceramic tiles, aluminium products, is here again, cartons, that's boxes, machetes, water. Yeah, you see, like I said earlier, water. How many people even import water? There are few of them, these hotels. But bulk of us use more water that is produced here. So there are certain items that we will not even argue about. That's the more reason why we want to sit down and look at it. Textiles as one part of a task force that we're trying to help safeguard our textiles. So I know how dear the textile, production industry is to me, and therefore to help them is cool. But we know their capacity, how they are growing. It's not that much. And I quite remember they also made some sort of arguments at that time. That was around 2014, 2015, that they need help to grow their industry.
Yeah.
You understand? So yes, if we are giving them that much help to grow and they are going to some capacity, fine. If you look at rice, we consume rice a lot. But as I sit here, I don't know how many metric tons per year that we consume, and what our local industries are now trying to churn out. How many are they producing? We don't know. Are they producing that much that can take care of us and that can even export? We don't know. Toilets, paper is there and all that. Detergents, washing. I don't even remember the last time I bought an imported washing powder. I buy what I see being advertised the local. Yes, so let us look at the biscuits. I quite remember biscuits some time back. Some of our members who import biscuits, they went to these locally producing companies and asked them to produce certain amount for them. They couldn't meet their target. Finally, some still had to import. These are practical things that we have to look at, so that cigarettes, you can put the maximum value on cigarette. I don't really matter, because I know the health hazard for it. So, like I said, let us look at the items
from the way
so that we know. Like, just a quick one, plastics. It said chapter 39. We have to really understand what chapter 39 is to customs, what it is. Well, plastics is a very broad item. Various items of plastic. What are we talking about? Are we talking about all plastics? Do you know the range of plastics?
This tells me that in arriving at this conclusion, there's a seeming lack of consultation between government and groupings and associations like yours. Was there any conversation at all?
There was. There was. That is
at what point?
Oh, just last year, especially when we realized that something of this sort was in the offing. So we started making that much noise. We met with the Ministry of Trade a couple of times. The point is that as we were joining, then the argument was pushing to the fact that they might not reverse all. But as for this shit, we got it when they were reading the budget, just about when they were about to read the budget. And therefore, we've not sat with government or any of the stakeholders to really look at them critically and see the local capacity. You understand? We shouldn't do anything to shoot ourselves in the foot.
What happens if, for instance, because we are uncertain as to whether today it kicked in, because from my sources as well, and before we came on air, one of my sources was telling me that some crunch meetings and conversations are going on between unions and associations like GUTA
so.
and importers and exporters
I
and
should
freight
have been there
forwarders.
myself.
Oh, there's a meeting going on.
Yes, there was.
But why should there be a meeting after an announcement?
Yeah, because you see, like we always tell them, if we don't do proper consultations and we have some sort of consensus building, it's always difficult really kicking in any policy. And this government should know that better, because we had the same thing with their predecessors. So it's not going to be just easy, pushing anything down on our throats if we've not had that consensus building.
All right.
Unfortunately, that is what is happening.
I read stories today to the effect that you told government to hold on. GUTA tells government to hold on.
Yeah.
Have you gotten an indication they intend to hold on after giving the deadline of today?
Well, I wouldn't drop the gun because I don't know what is happening. From me, I will still consult with my colleagues and know what is going on. But like I said, it's important. This government says it's a listening government. We hope he continues doing so. Let us sit down, build consensus, look at all those critical issues so that we come to some better understanding. For the situation now, I think it will not be really good pushing anything through. We are more than ready to help in this drive. And therefore, we are just hoping that we have that conversation.
We have heard and read how you are painting a very gloomy picture of the likelihood of prices of general goods doubling on the market, because obviously you throw the weight you can't carry, as in the addition of these prices, to the ordinary consumer who purchases these goods. Is that the intent?
No, that is not really the intent. The point is that might be the natural phenomenon when it happens so, because if these local industries have the capacity to produce, there wouldn't be any problem, because then they can be able to give so much out there, and then people would have their demands met. But if it doesn't happen that way, then we have a problem, in a sense that then you might have panic setting in. People who've bought in the items might now do the calculation to see, hey, if I'm not careful, these items will go up, then I'll be losing per selling the price I have now. See, this do not help all of us. That is why we are telling government that please, 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 let us see that, because I know we can build consensus on some of the items. Yes, we can. That is per my own look of things. We can. Let us sit down, let's look at them one by one, and let us come to some consensus so that we can all be on board. That would be very okay for us, so that we all have one voice. AGI, the industrial players, because pharmaceuticals, you just say pharmaceuticals. I don't know, but it's a broad, pharmaceuticals. We have some of them who have industries here, and some to import. So, you see, just putting broad pharmaceuticals, let us sit down and know what it entails. You see, it's always better for all of us to understand each other. That will help in our forward movement. If we don't do that, then that is where you have all these, because as I'm here talking, I have my colleagues at other radio and TV stations talking. It doesn't help really with the whole environment.
We will go for a breather. When we come back, I will ask two questions. We saw the drivers in our local parlance say, when they parked their cars for just a day. What happened to workers? Has GUTA that strength to also show muscle if government decides not to listen to them and reverse this 30% and 50%? We'll go for a short break. When we come back, that will be my final question. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Fact Sheet Live on ETV, live on NISIM 95.9 and 100.1, also live on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You're welcome to join the conversation with your thoughts, your views, and your comments. We have 5 more minutes before the show comes to an end. And so I was asking the question that if government decides to bulldoze its way through, as much as this constricts you, we saw the drivers, the commercial drivers, exhibit some force that they felt may ring a bell to government that we are forced to reckon with. What alternatives do you have if government doesn't listen?
Well, I'm hoping we don't get there, because at least the previous government can tell this government what we are capable of doing. You understand? And mostly we prefer dialoguing. And therefore, we wouldn't want to get to any point that our member, because look, as leaders, we are just mouthpiece for our membership, and they are very broad. You know, we have membership throughout this whole country, and therefore, it's what they say, and that is what we will listen and then act accordingly.
Would a strike action be one of the things?
There can be a lot of things that we can, use, but like I said, all those things are not really that pleasant, and I would prefer that the dialogue continues. At least this government has shown on some occasions that they are willing to talk, and that to us is good. It's a good sign. We've met the president himself a couple of times. Our trade sector minister, Honorable Alan Martin, has been very open when he's not the deputy.
But just a quick one. This list of 43 items, if the president were to be listening to you this evening, which ones would you say ought to be yanked off this sheet?
I would not pick one.
Which ones?
No, I will not pick any now. That one, collectively as a group, we have to look at it and then see. But like I said, if we should sit down with them, then we'll pick them one by one. Then look at per extension what it entails and how it can affect the our industries in terms of the import industry, and what the local capacity is, because we don't have that data. For all you know, we might not know, but they might have a data that can show that, this is the capacity. We are more than ready, the industry is more than ready to supply. Let us look at it. We prefer dialogue.
But how about if it's not about industrialization drive, but it's about revenue generation?
Then please come clear with us. That one.
So if government comes to say that, look, we want to implement Agenda 111, and this is one of the means by which we know we can implement it, and so it stays.
It's a give and take thing. And you don't want to take just your part, and then what happens to me? Should I die? No, I should also be in business to be able to, operate. So what will central government be doing for traders in that regard? That is how we do things. We don't go and sit on a negotiating table and you just look at what
you will get,
and then what do I get? Zero. No, that is not done on any negotiating table. Let us all sit down. Let us look at this situation dispassionately, and then let us see the way forward. We, like I said, we are not oblivious of the fact that we are all in a situation that wasn't caused by any of us. Yes, Mother Nature has decided to do this to us. So let us look in this pandemic era how we are all going to survive within the system. The industry, local industry, shouldn't survive at the detriment of government. Of government, or let's say the importer. How are we all going to survive within this space, within this time frame? That is what we should all sit down and look at.
Well, I thank you for joining me tonight on Fact Sheet. I'm hoping that the conversation would continue tomorrow.
It should.
And some consensus is reached
Definitely
at the end of the day.
We'll let you know in case of any new developments.
We definitely will be calling you tomorrow for updates per the meeting that is going on tonight, so as to update our viewers and our listeners.
Okay.
But we are grateful.
Thank you for having me.
And so tonight, Mr. Benjamin Yeboah has been my guest on Fact Sheet. He's the National Welfare Officer for GUTA, joining me tonight to talk about the reversal or removal of the 30%, 50% benchmark values for vehicles and general goods, respectively, by the Ghana Revenue Authority. My name is Samuel Ishen, and I thank you for joining us tonight on the show. There will be a repeat broadcast of the show tomorrow at 10 on ETV Ghana. I encourage you to watch that if you caught us late when we started the conversation. I wish you a beautiful evening. Girl Vibes is up next.